All right, we'll go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Welcome to Niche Masters. We are going to teach you how to bundle. We write at least 3 to 5 apps per client, and a lot of people think it's crazy. They're like, we don't know how you do that or how you even set it up. Please tell us, please show us. I think Emily has another training she's doing this month or maybe next month for another agency on how to bundle, a large agency. They want Emily to come on there and uh, show them the magic, whatever she does, and makes all this money. So it's really, I think a lot of people want to use it for cross sell, bundle as a cross sell, but we don't even use it as cross sell. I mean, we bundle it all together up front. And if you don't know who we are, if you haven't seen any of our YouTube content, you know, I post stuff on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. I post stuff everywhere all the time just to keep traffic going and keep content going out, keep Facebook working. And so we are based out of Decatur, Texas, and we used to own a truck. I worked in the oil field for a long time when I was younger, and while I was in the oil field, wound up getting my CDL, became a driver. I held my CDL for about 13 years before I just let it lapse. I never went and got my uh, DOT physical, and I did that on purpose. So when I got in this business, I was about a year and a half, 2 years into the business, and my DOT card came ready for renewal. So I had to go back to the doctor, get my DOT card renewed, and I said, I ain't doing it. I'm just going to let my CDL go. And the reason I let it go is because I didn't want to have a backup plan. I wanted to force myself in this business and make it work without having a fallback and going back to what's comfortable, right? Because typically that's what people do. They try something new, it's hard. I'll go back to what I know. Have you ever had a job like a W-2 job and you quit that job and you go to the other job because the grass is greener on the other side and you get there and you're like, oh, this sucks too. This is even worse than the job I left. So then you go talk to your boss and you're like, hey, I was just kidding. Hey, can I come back to work over here? No, you go back to what's comfortable. That happened to me in the oil field. That was a big learning lesson for me, and I'm glad my boss did not allow it to happen. I wanted to become a supervisor, worked my butt off to get to that point. They finally gave me the supervisor title, gave me the huge raise that I wanted, the money that I was after, and I hated it. I didn't like managing people, didn't like messing with people. I was one of those people I could do it faster myself without going and finding somebody. So after a month or so, I told my boss, I said, I'm done with this. I want to go back to what I was doing. I'll just be an operator. You can cut my pay or whatever. And he said, no. He said, the only way that you're going backwards is if you leave this company. He said, you're either going to stick it out, and he said, you're going to get good at it, or you're gonna go do something somewhere else. He said, but we're going to force you pretty much to get out of your comfort zone. That's what they were saying. And that was a huge learning lesson because I quit a lot of things as a kid. And for somebody to step up and say, no, you're not quitting. No, you're gonna hit this thing head on. You're gonna figure it out. So um, did that for a while and drove a truck. And just being in the trucking industry, realized that there was a huge need for benefits. So every company that I worked for that wasn't a major corporation, I worked for some smaller companies that had, 20, 30, 40 trucks, and they offered group insurance. They would have somebody come in, on our lunch break or before work. And so it was a vendor, probably an agent just like us, selling group benefits. And it was expensive, just for myself. I think one company I was with, it was $900 just for health insurance. And I'm like, no, no, if I take $900 out of my check, I mean, I'm only making like what, 1,500 a week, 1,200 a week, whatever it was. And you take 900 out, and then if I sign the family up, and then we take out 2,000, I need to have that money to survive. I'm better off not having the benefits. So, uh, knowing that, and knowing that most people in this industry that are offered benefits can't afford them, they're just too expensive. There's not very many large trucking corporations out there. Don't get me wrong, there's a handful of very, 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 very big ones, but that's just a small percentage of the trucking industry. Most of the trucking industry is made up by mom and pop trucking companies. 5 trucks, 10 trucks, 3 trucks. That's what makes this world go around. Everybody wants to live the American dream. Everybody wants to own their own business. Everybody wants to own their own truck until they own the truck. And then they're like, oh, forget this. I'll go back to driving somebody else's truck. This is a headache. They always go back to their comfort zone, right? They don't want to do hard things. So that's what we've done as an agency. Emily and I have struggled, daily, to try to get this agency to where it's at and meet things head on. Because when you do what we do in the trucking industry, there's no copy and paste. There's nobody else in this industry that does what we do. There's nobody that has a CRM set up for us. There's nobody with automation set up for us. I can't just, call a lead vendor and say, hey, give me some truck driver leads with the income protection angle on them. You can't do that. Everything's custom from the ground up. So it started with our marketing. We had to figure out the marketing. How do we reach the people, first of all? So that's where we started. The marketing is key, because if you don't have people to get in front of, you don't really have to learn how to bundle. You don't have nobody to bundle for. So with most marketing, uh, they're pushing a product, right? So you see people that I've seen plenty of ads, people marketing to truck drivers for IULs, tax-free retirement, tax sheltered retirement, evade Uncle Sam by getting an IUL, whatever the pitch is, they're just pitching a product. That's all they're doing. Final expense, it's same thing, right? They're pitching a product. Hey, there's a state regulated benefit, tax free to you. However they word it to get people to fill out the form or click the link. And mortgage protection. So final expense and mortgage protection are the two biggest angles in the industry. And because they're such good angles, the insurance carriers have created products for those angles. So they literally have products called the home protector, or this is an income protection. Like we don't even tell people that this is a term policy. We're like, no, this is mortgage protection. People say, do you sell mortgage protection or final expense? Oh, I sell mortgage protection. No, you sell life insurance. Like you're not selling mortgage protection, you're selling life insurance. We're all selling life insurance. So the thing is like, how do we set ourselves apart and be different in an industry where everybody's doing the same exact thing? I don't want to be associated with all the final expense agents. I don't want to be associated with all the mortgage protection agents. So therefore, I did start in final expense and I struggled my butt off and I was not that great. I didn't think I was that great. I wasn't, some of these people I've seen people write 400,000 or 500,000 on their own pen with final expense, which is stupid impressive. But my first year I wrote 156,000, but I didn't make any profit. I spent a lot of that on leads. My first year, my marketing bill was about 70,000. So you take 70,000 out, you pay my bills, my rent, my mortgage, and there's no money left. We didn't make any profit. And I was traveling face to face. All that was done face to face. Now we transitioned into telesales and COVID pushed us into telesales. So that's how we got where we are. We sucked at telesales in the beginning. It was hard. And same thing. I was better face to face, bad at telesales. So after a couple of weeks in the office, I told my wife, I said, book me some appointments. I'm going back on the road, going back to where I'm comfortable instead of just hitting this thing head on and figuring it out. So that's what my wife done. She stayed at the office and slowly got this thing up on its feet and started toying with some marketing, toying with Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and you know, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. And anyways, as far as the bundle goes, our whole setup starts with the marketing and our verbiage. As we talk to the client, we're just telling them we're going to put a package together for you. We're going to put a package together for you. We help about 25 drivers a day, and we're going to help you by putting a package together for you. So we're already setting that up in their mind. And our marketing, let me see if I can grab a video real quick. It's not prepared to do this. Bear with me just a second. If I can't find it in about 1 minute, then I'll get out of here. I think I have a video on my actual Facebook account. I don't know how to find one without taking up too much time. I'd have to dig for the files. But anyways, it's just a generic video. It's nothing fancy. I don't edit my videos. I don't hire anybody to help me out. I literally, uh, important part is I go to a truck stop. I make sure that I'm in that environment. So a couple times I would just be directly in front of a truck, a unique truck, maybe the one that had some custom stuff on it, some chrome, stuff like that. People thought it was cool. I would find trucks like that at a truck stop and go stand in front of them, and hopefully the driver wasn't in it. Then I'd look weird. But anything like now, I'll just go stand in the parking lot. And then when they see the trucks, moving around behind me, they're getting diesel and all that stuff in the evening. That's the best time to go is in the evening when there's a lot of traffic going on. People are moving around, people getting situated. So I'll go up there and I'll shoot about 3 videos at once. And I hold my own phone in front of me, just take a selfie. And I'm like, hey, if you're like 99% of drivers I talk to, you probably have no benefits. That's one of my hooks. I always start off with a hook. The best video I have going right now is when I literally say, hey, if you're a truck driver, listen up. And for whatever, I guess they listen up because I told them to. But I started off with a hook, something to catch their attention within the first 2 seconds. Hey, if you're a driver, listen up. Hey, if you're like 99% of drivers I talk to, chances are you probably have no benefits. Am I right? Yeah. So let me tell you exactly what I do. I was a driver just like you. I drove for 10 years. And at one point in time, I was in a major accident where I broke my back, tore a bunch of stuff up in my stomach. I had home health coming to the house to take care of me. Went through about 3 months of physical therapy. And in the end, wound up losing my house, my cars, foreclosed, repoed, all that. Just completely ruined us. And I don't want that to happen to you. So what I want to do for you is, believe it or not, you're in the top 6 most dangerous job in the world. You can look it up, 6 or 7, depending on which website you look at. But you are in the most dangerous, industry in the world as far as transportation goes. So what I want to do is I want to put a package together for you to make sure that you have access to money no matter what. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to put a package together. We're going to start you off with a death benefit. It's going to have living benefits such as stroke, heart attack, cancer. I'll explain how that works, and also access to a cash account. So a lot of drivers like the cash account because they know at any time they could break down. It could cost 10, 20, or $30,000 to get their truck out of the shop. Well, if you've had this IUL or this package for any amount of time, you can pull the cash out of it, get your truck back on the road, back to business as usual. But what makes us unique is all the living benefits that we provide. So we're also going to set you up with hospitalization, where you can get $500 a day up to 31 days anytime you're in the hospital. It's going to reimburse you for any ambulance rides, any medical treatments. You can throw on a cancer rider if you want to, because believe it or not, 1 in 3 people will get cancer. I know that you know somebody in your immediate family that has had cancer, and it's absolutely crazy to not have it. So we're going to add that on too. Um, Accidental, we're going to set you up with $500,000 in accidental and also $1,500 a month in accidental disability. Also some dismemberment. You lose some fingers, toes, hands, eyeballs, any of that stuff. That's you're going to have access to money. So here's the difference. When you have health insurance, that's great if you do or you don't. But here's the thing. Health insurance pays the doctors and hospitals. What we do pays you. Every benefit that I just talked about is going to put money in your pocket. We're not paying the doctors or hospitals at all. So the $500 a day for you being in the hospital for 31 days, you're going to file a claim and they're going to pay that money to you because the doctors and hospitals are not worried about your mortgage payment, your semi payment, you're feeding your kids, keeping your wife her anxiety down. She's dealing with a lot. She's trying to take care of you. She's trying to take care of the kids back and forth to the hospital. There's going to be a lot going on. And we want to make sure that we're not trying to set you up and make you rich. We're just trying to make sure you don't lose everything. We're just trying to make sure everything is, for the most part, comfortable, and you don't wind up like I did and lose it all and have to start over fresh. So that's essentially how I set up my video. I keep it to about 2 or 3 minutes, usually 2 minutes. I say all that in about 2 minutes, and I tell them complete transparency. Hey, we're gonna put a package together for you to make sure that you have access to money no matter what. That's what I tell everybody. And I know it works because, believe it or not, I was at a truck show down in Houston, and that's where this really clicked in my mind. I go to this truck show down in Houston, and there's all kinds of insurance agents there, brokers, Aflacs, commercial trucking, all that. And they got their booth set up, they got their banners up with all their products on it. We do disability and life insurance and health insurance and blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is wild. Like there's a bunch of insurance agents at this truck show. So, anyways, I found this one booth. It was the National Owner Operators Association. And I walk up, I introduce myself, and the guy's like, "Oh, are you a driver?" Because what he does is he enrolls people in a membership program for like $50 a month, and he has like tens of thousands of people in this Owner Operators Association. So he's getting $50 a month off of tens of thousands of people and offering all these benefits and discounts and stuff, kind of like AARP. But that's his business. He gets people in this group and hooks them up and networks and offers things to people. So I told him, I said, "No, sir, I'm not a truck driver." I said, "I used to be a driver, but now I'm an insurance agent." And I said, "I specialize in helping drivers. And what we do is we put a package together to make sure drivers have access to money no matter what. So if they die, if they become ill, they become injured, they get an accident, anything like that happens, or they just have a major breakdown and need access to cash, we want to make sure that we can help them." And he just kind of looked at me crazy and he's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, everything we do pays the driver, pays money to their pocket." He's like, "Man," he said, "Look," he said, "I'm going to give you my phone number." He said, "Call me after this truck show next week." He said, "I want to get together with you." He said, "Because I want to put a package together to help everybody in my organization." So me being different and me saying something different, even though I'm selling the same products that the agent, 4 booths down was selling, they just didn't think to pitch the angle that I had. They didn't think about income protection. They're thinking about all their products individually and not, how to put a package together. So that's the setup for it all is in the marketing and you being transparent up front and saying, "Hey, I want to put a package together for you. I want to protect your income." So that's our angle. Everybody has to have an angle. Some people's angle is final expense. They want to bring up hey, how are we going to plant you in the ground when you die? Who's going to pay for that? Or you have mortgage protection. If something happens to you, we want to make sure that your house is paid off for your kids, your wife, whatever. That's a bunch of bull. Chances are if somebody dies and they get a check for 200,000, they ain't paying the house off. No, because then all their money's gone. They just gave all their money to the bank. How dumb is that, right? So they're not going to pay the house off. So when I talk to anybody about anything, it's income protection. I don't care if they're 65 years old and they called about final expense. I'm going to have the income protection conversation with them. I'm going to say, "Hey, when something happens, you pass away, or at your age, I know a lot of people have accidents, and you may wind up in a skilled nursing facility or a rehab facility to get healed up. How's that going to affect you? How's that going to affect your guys' income? Because most people, believe it or not, at 65 are still working. Most people can't afford to retire and live off the government. They're still working, so they still have to have some type of income. So I always go that income protection route. So I had an agent call me one time. He's like, "Hey, I got some family up in, I don't even remember where it was, Minnesota or Pennsylvania or something." He's like, "I'm not licensed in that area, but this is my family, and I trust you, and I want to give you the lead, and they're looking for life insurance. So it's kind of weird because they haven't seen my video. They don't know what I do. So when I called that referral, I said, hey, so and so reached out to me, told me that you were looking for a life insurance package. That's what I say, package. They're like, yeah, we were just wanting to check some things out, see what we could get into. And I said, hey, let me tell you exactly what I specialize in. What I do is I want to put a package together for you to make sure that you have access to money no matter what. I know you called and want to talk about life insurance, but I want to talk to you about what if you have to live through something? What if you don't die? That's my fear. If I have to go through another accident like I went through, that is my biggest fear is that I don't die. I don't want to have to live through something like that again. So that's where I always go to. What happens if you live? People get hung up on when they die. What if you live? What if you get in a bad accident and you live? What if you have a heart attack and you live? What if you have a massive stroke and you live? Now you're bound to a wheelchair. What if you have a massive stroke and they don't give you your medical card back? Now you can't drive a truck again. What if you have a massive stroke and now you have brain damage and they're not going to give you your CDL back? Your cognitive functions have just gone away. Now you're not going to be able to work anywhere. I'm not saying this is the end all be all and this is going to take care of you forever, but for you to get on Social Security disability through the state, it's going to take some time and they're going to deny you a couple of times. It may be 6 months to a year before you see any money. So I want to put a package together to make sure that you have access to money up until that point. So I'm always trying to come up with a solution to a problems that happen on the daily, right? That's why critical illness is so big. Everybody is going to have cancer, heart attack, stroke. Those are the three main killers in America: cancer, heart attack, stroke. I know everybody's known somebody that's had cancer, heart attack, or a stroke because it happens daily. So why don't we have insurance for that? Why do you have insurance on your phone? How come you don't have insurance for cancer? 1 in 3 people are going to get cancer. Oh, you have health insurance. No, that's great. I'm glad you have health insurance. That's going to help a lot, but it's not going to take care of everything. There's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, travel expenses, food, lost income because you can't go to work. Now you're going to be on 40% because now you're on short-term disability. So you're only going to get 40% of your check. Can you live off of 40% of your check right now? No. Okay. So if I wrote you a check for 10,000 because you were diagnosed with cancer, would that help you out? Yes. Perfect. So we're going to add that into the package. So, any questions so far as the marketing goes? Nope, all good. All right. So when I have the client on the phone, or Emily has a client on the phone, the setup, like I said, is we're going to put a package together for you. So we're going to show options. And I have this stuck in my head, like we don't do quotes. People compare quotes, but they choose options. So that's what I always say. We're going to find some options and find something that fits your budget. Because if somebody's like, "Oh, I just want a quote," we don't do quotes here. I'm not a quoter. I'm not a quote person. We're here to help. We're going to show some options. So mentally, that's one of those psychological things. There, we're going to show options to pick something. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you kind of how we set this up. So let's just say I was going to write an IULE with Mutual of Omaha. That's what we write most of, IULs or UL with Foresters. So I would just go the online quote. And like I said, I told them we were going to put a package together for them. I didn't say we were going to do this with this company and this with this company and this with this company and this with this company. No, because that freaks people out. They're like, oh my God, you're going to write me up with all these companies and all these signatures, and they won't go for it. Probably not. We'll just keep that the same, 46 male, non. And so what I do is I just go real quick. I do 100,000, calculate, and I'll write that down. 97 bucks. And then I'm going to go back and do 200. And this is age depending if you've ever used Mutual of Omaha. So 200 is 189. And we'll go for the max, which is 300. So you're looking at 281. All right, so now I have three options written down here. I have a 97, a 189, and a 281. Most people can afford to spend $100 a month. If you're a truck driver, you're working, you have a job, or you're an owner operator is just like us. They have cash flow. They're making two, three, 400,000. I've heard of some of them making about six or 700,000 a year. They got some specialty gig lined up. But we have three options here. 97, 189, 281. So that's just for the life insurance. So now Emily has figured up with the three things that she writes, which the next one is going to be Manhattan. So
Yeah,
this is an accidental indemnity plan with Manhattan, and it's just cut and dry. There's no quotes. It is what it is. You either buy one unit or two units. It's either 26 bucks or 35 bucks. So we're trying to get everybody a little bit of everything because we don't know what's going to happen. There's no guarantee that they're going to have a heart attack. There's no guarantee that they're going to get in a major accident, but something's going to happen eventually. And we want to make sure that they're getting paid somehow. So on this accidental indemnity plan, this is for ages 18 to 74. There's no health questions. Am I right about that?
very few.
Is there any health questions on this?
Yeah, there's just a couple,
Okay.
but not
So
anything major. It's very simple.
so what you get if you add 26, $27 to the premium, they're going to get a $2,000 medical expense benefit. So that if they were in an accident and they go to a hospital, this is going to as far as physician's fees, surgery, x-rays, reduction of fractures, emergency first aid, all this stuff. It will reimburse them up to $2,000 in medical expenses. It also comes with accidental death, air and ground ambulance benefit, $5,000 reimbursement, daily hospital confinement, 150 bucks a day. Most people aren't in the hospital longer than a week. I was actually in the hospital for 30 days. And this also comes with some AD&D. You lose a finger, toe, hand, arm, foot, leg, or an eye. It's going to pay out these things in the case of an accident. But this has to be accidental. So you got $27 here. And then you can also go to, we use Manhattan and Heartland.
Heartland is the hospital indemnity.
So just real quick, I'll just put my own info in here. I don't know. Like I said, most people aren't in the hospital more than a week. Oh yeah, they bumped it up to 600. I forgot about that. Most people aren't in longer than a week, so we'll just do 7 days, 600 for 7 days. I mean, you gotta be jacked up pretty bad to be in the hospital longer than that. I mean, you can change it to 2 weeks if you want. We'll do 15 days. This is Texas. So if you've never used Heartland National, the reason it's awesome is because if you do a hospital indemnity plan with Manhattan, you have to buy the whole package. And the minimum package is like $127 or something like that. And it only goes up from there. So with Heartland, it starts with the hospital only. So 600 bucks a day for 15 days, and it comes with a $150 emergency room benefit. Everything else is an add-on. So right now we're at 34 bucks. So if you want to make this do anything, you can make it do anything you want. We'll go back to 7. Look at now we're at 28 bucks. You can add on cancer. You want to give them, $5 or $10,000 in cancer. Look, that added $6 right there. Hospital confinement. I'm not too worried about the hospital confinement. I mean, if you go to the hospital, you're going to get 600 bucks a day. Ambulance, maybe they want some more ambulance. Maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe they had a heart attack and the accidental indemnity is not going to cover them for the ambulance. You can throw a couple $100. I mean, it starts to add up. Just do 500, just a little bit. But anyways, Emily only does the hospitalization. She wants to make sure that even if it's not an accident, they're getting money if they have to go to the hospital. Because when you're 3, 4, 5 days in the hospital, that's all you're thinking about is, man, I got to get back to work. I'm been in this hospital for a week. My boss ain't going to pay me, and it takes you, it seems like when you take a week off of work, it takes you a month to get caught back up. So you can add all this stuff if you want to. We'll just get rid of it. That way I can show you exactly what we do. So we're at 28 bucks, 30 bucks right here. Take that off too. All right, now we're back to 28 bucks. So we take this 28 bucks, add it to this 27 bucks here. General rule of thumb, we add $55 to the life insurance quote, all right? So we go back to the life insurance quote, and you can add $55 to it. So our quote here,
Hey, Hunter.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to bother, man. Are you able to share the screen so we can see?
My bad. I thought I was sharing the screen.
No, you're good.
Thank you for saying that. All right. Can y'all see the screen now or no?
Not yet.
Heck, I think my mouse is dying. All
Yeah.
right. Let
Now
me
it's
let me re let me recover this again real quick. So we have our quote for this is 300,000, so this is 281. And then we changed it to 200 real quick. And then we changed it to 100. So there's the 189 and then the 100 is 97. So we get our 3 quotes for the life insurance. And then we go to Heartland. So Heartland, like I said, I apologize. I really thought I was sharing my screen this whole time. So, like I said, with Heartland, you can break everything up, but Emily just does the hospitalization. That way, if they do have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, something natural happens and it's not deemed an accident, we want to make sure that they're getting some money. So, just with the hospitalization, $600 a day for 7 days and a 150 emergency room, it's 28 bucks. And then, like I said, you could add on the other stuff. You can add on 10,000 in cancer, um, ambulance. The ambulance is little, it's like 200 bucks. But you can add on a couple other things to sweeten the deal. So anyways, if we take that off, we're just doing hospitalization. So 600 a day, we're at $28. So 28, and then we're also going to add the Manhattan, the 1 unit here for 1 person. That's 26 bucks. So you can add $55. So you go back to your quote at 189, and add $55 to it. What does that come out to be? Let's just round it up. 190 plus 55 is 245. So now we're at 245. $97. We'll add 55 to that. $152. And then the maximum was 281. So we'll add 55 to 281. You're at 336 a month. So like I said, I didn't explain to the client that, we're doing this with Mutual of Omaha, we're doing this with Heartland, and we're doing this with Manhattan. I did not explain any of that. So when I set this thing up, like I said, I told you, we're going to put a package together for you. And I explained all the benefits. Say, hey, we're going to set you up with life insurance. That way you have a death benefit, living benefits. That way you have stroke, heart attack, cancer, anything like that. You're covered. You'll get at least 50% of your death benefit advanced to you. Also, the cash account. On top of the cash account, you're going to get paid $600 a day for 7 days. Most people aren't in the hospital longer than a week. So that's $600 for 7 days. And if you're in an accident, it's going to cover some accidental stuff. So ambulance rides, hospital confinement, you'll get extra money for that, extra $25,000 in accidental death. Whatever's on this thing, I can't remember. AD&D, so if you lose fingers, toes, anything like that. So then I say, based off of these benefits alone, does this sound like a package that would benefit you and your family? And that's the soft close. Now, right there, you're determining whether you're going to move forward or you're done with that client. So if they say, yeah, typically they say, well, it depends on what it costs. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you said that. That's typically the next question. People say, what does something like this cost? So if you'll bear with me for just a minute, I'm going to pull some options up for you, and we're going to find something to fit your budget. So I've already done that. So I have my options written down. It took me 2 or 3 minutes. The whole time I'm getting these options, I'm talking to the client, asking them about their journey, where they're at, what they're doing, what they're hauling, where they're going, where they came from, like Forrest Gump. Where you been? Where you come? So we got 152 a month, 245, and 336. So this is important right here to set this up to buy. Because the first thing a unexperienced person would do is say, hey, I got you some options here for you. And they would just rattle the numbers off. And then what's going to happen 9 times out of 10 is they're going to say, let me think about it. And there's a reason they want to think about it. We don't know what that reason is, but we're going to cover that objection first. So I would say, Emily, while we were talking, I got some options written down here for you. And just real quick, before I show you these options, I want to explain to you how this works. So like I said before, we help about 20 to 25 drivers a day. We're the best at what we do. And what we've done is we have partnered with some carriers nationwide that are truck driver friendly. And what that means for you is you're not going to have to go to a doctor. So most drivers don't have time to just shut their truck down, drive back across the country just to do a medical exam. So we're not going to do that. Like I said, we're truck driver friendly. We do everything over the phone. We're not going to pull your blood, make you pee in a cup, do a bunch of cardio stuff. You can forget all that. Everything's done over the phone. Literally takes about 15 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through this application. We're going to ask you a series of health questions. We're going to pull your medical history and your criminal history for the last 10 years. We're going to submit that to the carrier. And what that means is once we send that off, one of 3 things is going to happen. They're going to tell us yes, no, or maybe. If they tell us yes, that's great news. That means you're instantly approved and the draft will come out on the day that you choose. So there's no money down today. You don't have to make any down payments today. I couldn't take your money today if I wanted to, because even if you wanted to start immediately, it still takes 2 or 3 days to process. So tomorrow at the soonest. But most people, they need a week or two before it drafts, so we can push it out a week or two if you need to. Don't worry about that. But like I said, it does take about 10 or 15 minutes to go through the application. And how do you spell your first name? Is that your legal name? So
Yes.
I set that up. So they're in their mind, if somebody says, I want to think about it, and you didn't explain the process, I teach my agents this. We have a 3-step process. I have this right here on my monitor, trust, certainty, and clarity. This is the only post-it I have on my monitor because it's that important. So this last part is the clarity part of the presentation. You have to explain what is going to happen. So I use this example all the time. If you have kids, like I have daughters and a son, and when they go to the doctor, guess what happens? On the way to the doctor, the same question always comes up. Am I gonna have to get a shot? Well, I mean, it could happen. You know, you are sick. It'd probably be better if you got a shot. Well, I don't really want a shot. Yeah, I don't like shots. Well, I mean, if the doctor says that's what you need, I mean, I would do it. But if you lied to your kid and said, no, there's not going to be any shots. No. That way you can just get them there, right? And then when they pull out that syringe in the room and your kid freaks out, it takes 9 people to hold your kid down just to give them a quick jab because you lied to them and they just freaked out because of the unknown. That's not cool. So we're super transparent about what's about to take place. If you tell your kid that they're going to get a shot, they're not going to like it, but they have time to process it. There's a 15-minute or 30-minute drive to the doctor. They're processing it in their mind. They're going, I'm gonna have to get shot, and it's gonna suck, and it's gonna hurt. But I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna be a big kid. And I'm gonna make it happen in front of my dad, right? They have all this stuff going through their head. They've accepted it. Now they know what to expect. So I explain the process fully. This is what's going to take place. It's going to take about 15 minutes over the phone. We're going to pull this, 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 and this. I don't need your money today. I couldn't take your money if I wanted to. You know how much stress comes off of somebody's shoulders when you tell them that? I couldn't take your money today if I wanted to. First and foremost, we need to find out if we can get you an approval. Once we get you approved, then we can worry about the money. So that is how we set that whole thing up and how we set the bundle up, how we set the presentation up. I know I didn't go through the whole presentation. That's for a completely different training because I like to go into a lot of depth. The presentation is super important. The psychology behind the things that we say and do during the presentation. But any questions right now as far as bundling or why we choose the carriers we choose or anything like that?
So all three of these characters are carriers, not characters, carriers. They don't require um, a blood test or anything like that. They can be underwritten without having to go to the doctor.
Yes, sir. So our business, the way we have it set up is we're 100% simplified issue. So we don't do any medical exams at all. I've had one client that done a medical exam, but he was dealing with some issues and I didn't think he would do the medical exam and he wound up doing it and then got declined anyways. But we eventually found him some coverage with another company. But he wasn't a driver, he was actually my uncle. So that's a little different. So all the drivers we write up, yeah, nobody does a medical exam. Nobody goes to the doctor. It's all just health questions answered over the phone.
Excellent.
So the thing is, really the next issue you're gonna have is when you call your client. Let's say it's a lead. You call the lead and you ask your pre-qualification questions because we do not one call close anybody hardly. We call the lead. We're like, hey, Jeffrey, this is Hunter, just giving you a call about the video you watched, how we protect drivers and their income. You remember seeing that? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, it's just our job to book an appointment with you for tomorrow. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to go through how we can help you and how our package works. And is morning or afternoon better for you? So, start picking the time, get a time for them. And then we ask pre-qualification questions. We have a sheet. So we have a sheet like this. This actually has a lead's name and phone number on it, so don't look at it too long. But anyways, I'll cover that up. You can see our health questions on there. Just basic stuff. First question is, how big a boy are you? How much you weigh? How tall are you? Are you on any medications? Had any major health issues in the past? Cancer, heart attack, strokes, anything like that? Diabetes. Most drivers we deal with have diabetes. That's a big deal. Diabetes and smoking. That's the main things. But you're going to run into people that don't qualify for the IUL. But you need to know that before you pitch them the IUL. And we never tell anybody they're getting an IUL. That never comes up in the conversation that we're writing an IUL. We sell the IUL based off of the benefits alone, and that's it. We're just putting a package together for them. So if they don't qualify, what are we going to do? We're going to pivot to a final expense policy. It's one of those things. If you don't tell the client you can get them $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000, and then you got to back down to 25 or 30,000, it's not a big deal. But sometimes it's hard when you've sold somebody on an IUL or a big term, and then they get declined, and then you have to tell them, hey, look, something came up, but hey, we're still going to be able to put a fantastic package together for you. Sometimes that's a hard sell when you're having to go backwards. So if you'll ask those pre-qualification questions up front, you can lead off with the right package, and you can do the same thing. You can do the hospital indemnity, you can do the accidental indemnity with Manhattan, and just set it up with a final expense, and show them like 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and then just add 55, 60 bucks to the quote. Emily, we take over for just a second here.
Sure. So as far as when we're showing all the options and we're getting those pre-qualifying questions, you want to ask that up front because you don't want to be mid-application and not know what carrier to use. And you also want to make sure that if you do have to transfer to final expense, you need to know what carriers are in your back pocket that can definitely be able to get an approval regardless. And you need to have that guaranteed issue option available as well. So that's all happening while you're taking it down and setting the appointment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've gotten our appointment. We kind of did a soft close. I know this is a lot of information, right? It's a whole bunch of information. What questions do you guys have? I'll be glad to walk through that with you as well.
With Mutual of Omaha, ma'am, do you start with Index Universal Life or Living Promise?
It's going to depend on their health, right? If they're healthy, we always want to go with the IULE, okay? Just because it has those extra benefits. Now, if they're not healthy enough for that, then of course we will start with the Living Promise. But what's nice is you have to know some carriers that you can still have those additional living benefits with, even if they are unhealthy, right? So with Heartland, there is a little bit of approval process, but with Manhattan, it is a accidental. So almost everybody can get approved for it. It's very, very extremely rare that someone would get declined for that. We use Forrester's Prep 2 accidental that has that accidental disability as well. That only has 3 qualifying questions. So we really work with carriers specifically that we're able to approve immediately, not send it to underwriting, and also that even if they're unhealthy, they will still qualify.
Great. And once approved, how long does it take for us to get paid for an agent from these carriers, Manhattan Life, Heartland, and Mutual of Omaha?
That's going to be dependent on, who your IMO, who your carrier, all those things. But I will say, your Mutual of Omaha does probably pay the fastest. They're going to pay upon issue. So you issue it today or tomorrow, you're going to get paid the next day. But every carrier is a little bit different on that.
Great. Thank you.
Of course.
So the important part of offering the bundle is having a plan of action before you get on the phone call. Like Emily has what she's going to have: the IUL, the hospitalization, and the accidental indemnity. She's going to offer that to every single person. Like that's her go-to. So whatever you put together, like I know Emily gets the quote on the life insurance and adds $55 to it. That way she can work in the things on the back end, and she's got two screens. A lot of times she's doing two apps at the same time. But the most important part of it is doing the life insurance first, because that's where you're gonna get most of your information is on that. And then you can take the information from that application and start filling out the other application. And then the accidental indemnity, I don't even think it needs a signature, a physical signature. I think it just needs the mother's maiden name. Is that correct, Emily?
One more time. What was your question?
The accidental indemnity doesn't even need a signature, right?
Right. With Manhattan, the signatures, you ask them what their mother's maiden name is.
Yeah, so that's one less text signature or email signature you have to send, and it makes it easier. You can add it on, tell them what it is, and you don't even have to have a signature. You just write it up, put their mother's maiden name on it, issue it, with all their info, bank account, and all that stuff. So it's better to have a plan of attack. That way you're not trying to figure out on the fly, like, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do that? Because then you're going to get confused. They're going to get tired of waiting on the phone, figure out what you're doing. I'm just going to show you our agent. So this is our Facebook page for our agency. So everybody essentially is bundling. We try to teach everybody to bundle. So this is one that was written yesterday. So this is the Foresters UL for $2,300. And then the Prep 2, I didn't go over the Prep 2, but that's another Foresters product. This is a $500,000 in accidental death and up to $1,500 a month in accidental disability. So she added that on there, the Manhattan accidental indemnity, and then the Heartland hospitalization. So she put all four of those together for $3,300. That's a good one. They're usually not all that size, but right here, Rob, he wrote the mutual IULE and done the same thing. He did the Manhattan accidental, and so that's what that's called, the 24-hour accidental, or it's called paid, PAID, depending on what state it is. And then for whatever reason, he did dental, vision, and hearing also with Manhattan. So just whatever kind of comes up in the conversation, you can add some stuff to it. You can add dental, vision, hearing. Maybe they want a big cancer policy. They've had some cancer issues in their family. They can do that. This is another lady here, Doris. She does a lot of Medicare, but she's learned to use Manhattan too. She wrote a max out-of-pocket plan plus Medicare right here. AMAM, which is American Amicable Family Choice. This must have been on a younger person that was unhealthy, and Manhattan and Heartland together. So a lot of the stuff that's getting written, very seldom do you see a standalone. I have a feeling if this is Emily and it's a standalone with no package, it was probably a rewrite of something that got declined somewhere else. Again, Heartland and Manhattan. So that's what we're doing. So the reason we do this is not to make more money. That's not the point. We're not trying to ring people up for 300 or 400 bucks a month and say, hey, we made all this money, because Manhattan doesn't pay worth the crap. I mean, that accidental indemnity plan, I literally think it pays about 25 or 30%. The dental and vision pays a lot better, but the hospital indemnity through Heartland only pays like, what is it, 60, 50, 60, 70%, depending on what level you're at. It's not
Yes.
like it's not like a final expense or a term where you're getting, 100+%, 100, 110, 120%. It's a lot lower. So we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it to create value for the client. We want to make sure that we truly care about these people, and we want to make sure that we're putting something together that they're going to use it one way or another. I guarantee you, they're either going to have the policy when they die, they're going to come down with some sort of illness, or they're just going to want access to some cash. That cash value in that IUL. I tell people this all the time. I said, I guarantee you this is going to be a policy you're going to use. This ain't like one of them term policies that's going to run out in 20 years and you just wasted 20 years worth of money and now you have no coverage. I guarantee you're going to use this one way or another. So it creates good persistency. If you don't know what persistency is, the carriers measure persistency, and that means how long your business stays on the books. So they look at it at 6 months, 12 months, and 18 months. And if you have a really bad problem with business falling off the books before 1 year, you're not going to get any of your carrier bonuses. You're not going to go on any of the carrier trips. Even though you wrote the business, let's say you wrote 400,000, you qualified for a company trip. Well, they're not going to let you go because your persistency is horrible, because all the business you write is just falling off the books. So that's one of the other reasons we do it, is persistency. And when you write a package like that, you write dental, vision, and hearing, you write accidental indemnity, you write accidental with disability and an IUL on somebody. The average Joe Blow life insurance agent cannot come behind you and replace your policy. They can't replace four because they don't even. This is what's going to happen. The client's going to be like, I don't know what I have. I just got all these policies in the mail, and he's going to be telling the agent this. I know I got some life insurance, I got some disability, I got all this stuff. And the agent's going to get confused and just give up because he can't just flip a single policy. It's not one of them deals where he's like, oh yeah, I got 200,000 for 150 bucks a month. Well, then they're just trying to beat your price. That way they can cancel your policy out and they can make commission on it. That ain't going to happen. Ain't nobody can replace what we put together because it's an entire package. So do your due diligence, take the time, put the package together, serve the client, and it will take care of you. It will take care of your agents, and it'll keep your business on the books a whole lot longer, and you'll make a whole lot more money. That's all I got today. We're an hour into it. I wanted to keep it right around an hour. I got time for a couple questions if somebody wants to throw a couple questions at us. If not, we're going to get this wrapped up.
Hey, Hunter, can you just quickly explain about the leads and how it works and all that?
Yeah, so with us, we try to create options because not everybody is trying to build a business, trying to build an agency. So with Niche Masters, we have, if you're a part of our organization, you have contracts with us, we'll do lead gen for you. We'll set your ads up, we'll do the videos, we'll manage your ads for you. We'll build you a website. We'll give you access to both of our VAs. We have a VA for CRMs. We have a VA for ads to help you on both sides. We'll create a logo for you. We'll do it all up front and it's like a business in a box. We charge $397 a month for that, and then you have to pay for all the ad spend, however much you want to spend. If you want to spend 50 bucks a day or 500 bucks a day on ads, that's on you. That money goes to Facebook, but our fee is $397 to manage everything for you, set it up. If you just want to buy leads, if you're not worried about branding yourself and building and all that stuff, you just want to get to work. We sell the same exact leads as the truck driver leads for 20 bucks each. You just have to buy at least 20 of them. And that's only for people in our organization. We will not sell leads to people outside of our organization. If you're outside of our organization, we will do the lead gen and all that for you. But if you don't have contracts with us, it's $1,000 a month.
Thank you.
So that's the three options. If you're not affiliated with us, it's $1,000 a month. If you are affiliated with us, it's $3.97 a month. And then if you just all you want to do is buy leads, we'll sell you leads for $20 each, and I can have leads in your hand tomorrow.
In how many states do you recommend to be licensed to to have a good start?
At least 5. I mean, have some. I mean, don't go out and just start buying some because you don't know which ones you're going to need. It's a slow process. You market all over the country, and then when you find somebody that's interested, you get the license. If you got somebody that's like, hey, yeah, I need a package like this, what does it cost? And you agree to 200 or $300 a month, and there you go. And you don't have the license, you can still submit the application 9 times out of 10, and then go get the license. The carrier might make you rewrite the app, but I mean, it's going to take you 10 minutes to rewrite the app, resend the signature to the client. But you have to have the license before they'll pay you.
Okay.
That's how we've done it. I mean, we're licensed in about 40 something states, not all of them, but close to all of them. Some states just don't produce any leads. Anybody got anything else?
So for contracting, you would recommend the carriers that you guys mentioned, Mutual of Omaha, Manhattan, and Heartland, or any other carrier that is necessary to be on the.
Yeah, we typically write Foresters, Mutual of Omaha, American Amicable for the life insurance side, and then Manhattan and Heartland for the indemnities and the accidental. So those 5 carriers.